Got you.
I don't know the intro to that.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face.
Oh, yeah.
Disgrace.
Get it.
Making your can all over the place. We
will.
Rock you.
Sports podcast you.
Yeah, we will. Getting all up in your eardrums here on Call to the Bullpen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to yet another edition, a conference championship edition of Call to the Bullpen podcast.
Championship podcast of the world.
We are the championship podcast.
We are the
of
champions.
The world.
In fact, I don't know if you guys have heard, we were recently named the #1 sports podcast on Mars.
This is true.
In fact, ranked #1 in sports podcasts on Mars.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. We're humble. We couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you for voting. We are really just without words to be the #1 sports podcast on Spot. Blah 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 blah. I'm speaking Mars. I'm Martian.
Yeah, well, all right.
And remember,
an actual statistic now from our actual podcast statistics. Whoever's listening out there from Australia, I salute you because we got one listen in the country of Australia.
Wow,
I swear to God,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so we're global, baby.
Whoever's down under, I cheers you a what do you drink down there? Foster's.
Worldwide, baby. Worldwide.
Cheers you a Foster's, my friend.
As Will Ferrell would say it.
That's not a knife.
That's not what I meant. That is not where I was gonna go. I was gonna do a Step Brothers thing, but we're done with that now. Anyway.
and that is why, folks, we are Called to the Bullpen. Not the sports podcast you want, but the sports podcast you deserve.
That's right. We're just here to have a good time and talk some logistics about sports, but mostly just to have a good time.
Well, if we're going to talk logistics, let's start at 3:05 on Sunday, January 20th, with the Rams at the Saints.
So they're starting with the NFC, huh? Interesting.
It
You said both these games are on Sunday?
Sunday.
Interesting. Well, you know who I'm going to pick here. I'm taking the Saints. I'm riding Drew Brees home to the motherland. Drew Brees and me are gonna kiss the baby and the Super Bowl trophy at the same time.
Are you gonna kiss the trophy or Drew Brees or the baby?
Probably all three.
That's fair.
Honestly,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, one kiss for each of them. Maybe all at one time. That'd be cool too.
That's scary.
I'm not even a Saints fan. I just really I touched on it last episode. I really want Drew Brees to win it. I think he deserves it. He's done so much for the Saints organization and just for football in general. I think
people humanity.
Oh yeah, and yeah, he's also a great person. Does a lot of give back and charity work. I think people don't realize how lucky we are in the era that we're in to have the superstar quarterbacks that we've been blessed with. I mean, guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. You can even throw Big Ben in there as like a top 5 guy. He's been so good the last 15 years.
Let me tell you guys, look at some of these historic quarterback names that you hear about in NFL history, and I'm not here to dog any of the legends from previous eras, but all I'm saying is guys like Terry Bradshaw are putting a damn pedestal for winning 4 Super Bowls. You look at these guys' numbers, look at Jim Plunkett's numbers, and then appreciate what you have right now, because we're being blessed with, it's unquestionably the best quarterback play in NFL history. I mean, there are some guys that were ahead of their time prior, like Dan Marino and Joe Montana, but for the most part, this era's quarterbacks blow everybody else out of the water.
Absolutely. And to that point, I think that Drew Brees is going to be able to handle business with the Rams, and I'll get more into detail with it, but I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit first. I think Drew Brees will be able to handle the Rams and take them a win this Sunday.
I am not concerned about the Saints' ability to handle themselves against the Rams' defense, especially at home, because we saw this game already unfold in the regular season. In that game, the Rams actually showed a lot of resiliency because they fell down by, I believe, 21 points in that game, and they came back to tie it, ultimately losing. But nonetheless, they showed that they could hang in like one of the NFL's toughest road environments. So there are going to be a lot of points here. I've got no doubt about that. even though both offenses aren't putting up quite as much as they did earlier when they were, right in the middle of the regular season. I think that we're still going to see a lot of points scored from both sides. But what it's going to come down to, in my opinion, is the fact that when the Rams beat the Cowboys, that was a game where they were so in control that Jared Goff was able to sit back and just kind of complete passes here and there, and he didn't have to play with a sense of urgency because CJ and Gurley were dominating so much on the ground. I believe that there are going to be points in this game where Goff is going to be called upon to rally his team, and it's going to be, he's going to have to score points quickly and decisively. If the Saints ever get up by multiple scores in this game, that's where Goff's going to find himself in that situation. And I just think that ever since Cooper Kupp's gone down, he's lost an element to his passing game, and the Saints are more built to score points in rapid succession at this point than the Rams are. Rams have morphed more into a run it down your throats and control the clock type of team. So I think that the Saints, they've got the superior air show with Brees and Michael Thomas, and that's going to be enough to win.
I also think being at home is going to be enough to win. We touched on it a few times over the last few weeks, specifically last episode, and just the whole Jared Goff and not really having the passing weapons that he needs. And Chase, you mentioned it. If the Saints can control, the Rams' rushing offense, 100% without a doubt, I think the Saints win this game. At home, Jared Goff, if he's limited through the air, but has to throw through the air because they shut down their run offense, this game's the Saints. 100%.
Now that you mention that, though, about shutting down the run, that's where this gets a little tricky, because if there's one thing that opens the door for the Rams to come in and possibly steal this game, it's the fact that the Saints are going to be missing Sheldon Rankins up in the middle. He was second on the team with 8 sacks this year, and he's their primary run stuffer. So you talk about a guy that would have been leaned upon to stop Gurley and stop CJ Anderson, especially after the work that the Rams did on the offensive line, opening up those holes in the middle of the field against the Cowboys. That I feel like they have to be optimistic about their chances to handle themselves against the Saints as well, just based on what they overcame against Dallas.
Well, the thing is, I don't really see the Rams stopping the Saints like we've all said. So I don't think they'll be able to keep up primarily running the ball. I don't see them scoring, 28 points on running the ball every play. I think that the Saints will be able to get out fast to a fast start. Although they really didn't do that against the Eagles, I think they'll be able to get out to a fast start this week against the Rams and then force their hand to be like, all right, if you guys are going to play with us, you're going to have to throw the ball. Now, if the Saints struggle to score or they don't score enough, then we could see a problem with the Rams relying on their what has become the best run offense in the playoffs left. Definitely better than the Chiefs and definitely better than the Saints, which is actually, I would say probably still the best, because I'd still say that they have the top running back compared to Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. But if they get out in front ahead, force the Rams' hand to try to keep up with them, I think that the Saints will be able to control the game enough. But on the other hand of things, if the Rams get off to a fast start and they could just ground and pound and grind that clock away and keep the ball away from Drew Brees, then it's a whole different story. It's all about what this Saints defense would be able to do, and I don't know if they can stop that two-headed giant they now have in C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley.
I think that the Rams are going to need to absolutely ball out on defense in this game. They took a big step forward against Dallas with what they were able to do, really dominating both lines of scrimmage, I would say, both on offense and defense. And after what Sue and Donald were able to do against Zeke Elliott, if they're able to have the same success stopping Alvin Kamara, then, I'm not saying that obviously, the Saints are totally comfortable going to Drew Brees, relying on him to carry the workload as he's done for so many years for this team, especially with a guy like Michael Thomas back there, who I don't think that the Rams will be able to defend in the secondary at all. I think he's going to have another big game. But they might have a chance at limiting the damage if they're able to shut down Kamara the way they did Zeke.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
Whose defense is better, the Rams or the Saints?
Saints.
I'm going to go Saints just because they've had the that's so tough.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the Rams have been super fluky all year.
Well,
they got
they've
Talib
been so
back.
up and down.
They got Talib back, and he can easily shadow Michael Thomas the entire game if they wanted him to.
I agree, but the Saints do have Lattimore and back there in the secondary, and they seem to. You watch the way they played against the Eagles. I mean, granted, the Rams have 2 wide receivers, I think, better than anybody on Philly. But I thought the Saints had the Eagles pretty well covered downfield, and they weren't totally overwhelming Nick Foles there. He had time to throw the football, at times, and couldn't find an open man. And I think the Saints did a great job in coverage in that game. I think that they do a better job in that department than the Rams at this juncture. Although the Rams might have the better playmakers, you do have to give the edge to them on the line, though, especially without Sheldon Rankins. The Rams definitely have the edge in that department.
Absolutely, and they have a better pass rush, even with Sheldon Rankins there. I mean,
yes,
the Rams pass rush will be able to cause Drew Brees problems if the Rams get ahead. So that's what I think will be the deciding factor. It's, does anybody get out to an early lead? And I mean more than one score. And if they do, who is it? Because if the Saints get out to an early lead, it makes Jared Goff throw the ball. But if the Rams get out to an early lead, they can run the ball, and then Aaron Donald could be like, okay, I can just rush the passer for the rest of the game and cause some serious problems. So that first quarter, depending on how it goes, could ultimately show us who's going to win the game, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. I think it's more important for the Rams to strike first than it is for the Saints, because you saw what happened, that the Saints they're a team that can respond well to adversity against the Eagles when things weren't going their way, and they didn't try to get it all back at once. They methodically took their time wearing that team out. So I think especially with the game being in New Orleans, it's really important for the Rams to not fall behind early. You look at all the games this past weekend. Pretty much every road team that got down early got blown out.
Exactly. That's my point exactly right there. Now let me ask you another question. Better backfield, Rams or Saints? That'd be Kamara and Ingram or Anderson and Gurley?
Oof. I think Kamara and Ingram have been more dynamic all year. So it's kind of hard to tell because C.J. Anderson just emerged the last few weeks.
That's
obviously.
True, but he's averaging over 100 yards a game.
Which is crazy. He came out of nowhere. I even texted you during this last game and was like, why is C.J. Anderson playing so much but he's outrunning everybody? So, why not?
Yeah, I think my choice in this would be, I don't think Todd Gurley is 100% healthy yet, which is why they need C.J. Anderson.
Yes.
So it would be interesting to see if the Saints stop C.J. Anderson early and often, whether their game plan would change with Todd Gurley, because that's what they're doing. They're giving Gurley breaks. They're giving C.J. Anderson's those hard rushing yards, and I think that I'm still go talent wise. I'm going to go with the Saints, but if you can't stop C.J. Anderson, you're not going to be able to stop Todd Gurley, obviously.
Chase, I think you raised an awesome point right there, because it really seemed to me in that Cowboys game that the Rams, because they built that big early lead, they were up by multiple scores, they were comfortable handing it off more to C.J. Anderson, giving him more carries than Todd Gurley, knowing that he's still not too far removed from that injury. They want to conserve him as much as possible. I feel like they don't think that they could just give him the ball 25, 30 times, even though he is one of the game's elite running backs at full strength. Maybe, they feel more comfortable with this tandem situation. So if the Saints are able to limit the damage with CJ and force them to go to Gurley more often, or that's a point where Jared Goff could be called upon maybe more than they'd ideally like to. So, yeah, I think stopping C.J. Anderson could really throw that Rams offense kind of out of the funk, because with Cooper Kupp not being there in the, for the receivers, he's the guy that slid in as that extra playmaker.
Now, if we're going to go to special teams and coaching, because I just want to talk about all assets of this game.
Yeah.
I think Greg the Leg could easily be the difference here. We saw Will Lutz miss a 52-yarder against the Eagles at home. Greg the Leg, that's Greg Zuerlein for everybody who doesn't know that. Greg the Leg. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. He could kick the ball 1,000,000 yards. He could kick it from 65 if he wanted to, probably, in this dome. So, that being said, are you taking Greg the Leg over Will Lutz like I am? And who are you taking? Sean McVay, the new blood with the offensive schemes to, shake up the NFL? Or are you taking good old faithful Sean Payton?
Kicking wise, yeah. Greg the Leg has shown to be one of the premier kickers in the league this year. And not that Will Lutz hasn't done wonders for my fantasy team, but the fact that he missed that big shot against the Eagles takes him down a notch in my book. But I think what it's really going to come down to is the coaching, and you got to go with Sean Payton in this situation. I like Sean McVay a lot. I think he's got a very bright future. He's one of the hot new offensive young mind, and he's done a great job with this team. The turnaround for this team from 2016 to 2017 was outstanding, and then to carry that momentum into being one of the NFL's elite teams in 2018, he's a true Coach of the Year contender. But I just think in this situation, Sean Payton has the playoff experience. McVay is in uncharted territory. This is his first ever road playoff game. So I'm comfortable going with Sean Payton.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the Saints can pull this one out. Like I said before, I think the Rams have been super fluky all year long. They've been up and down. Granted, they won enough games to get to where they were, so they've convinced enough people and put it on the field. However, I think play-wise, there's definitely more momentum leading on the side of the Saints than there is the Rams.
Who would you rather have, Sean McVay or Sean Payton?
As a coach or winning the game?
Coach. Like right now, this game, who do you want to have?
Oof.
I think
McVay, honestly.
Really?
And the only reason I want to say that is because he's young, and I think Sean Payton is less likely to take risks.
I was going to bring up that point. I'm glad you did.
Which Sean Payton is less likely to take risks because he's been around for a while. It's like a Bill Belichick. How many times does Bill Belichick actually go for it on fourth down? He does sporadically with those. For some ungodly reason, Tom Brady is the best QB sneak quarterback on the planet, and I don't understand why. But he does. And my point here is the experienced coach is probably less likely to be risky. He's older. He's been around longer. He knows what he's doing. There's a longer game plan down the road in the game. When McVay on 4th and 2 in the first might say, you know what, screw it, let's go for a fake punt.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I think that you're right. Sean McVay will be, I'll say, more aggressive in this game.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
However, last game, Sean Payton did exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
He fake punted it.
Oh, you're right. I missed watching that. That's why I think I was listening to it on the radio.
At his 40-yard line, or maybe even closer, because he saw that he was down 14-0, and he was like, all right, I need to jumpstart my team.
And it did.
So I think that it'll be a very interesting duel between these two coaches. We could talk about the players as much as we want, but realistically, it's the two coaches that we need to also look at. And Sean McVay, he's hungry. He's also very humble. Sean Payton, I don't know if you guys heard this. I think you probably have because it's been all over the NFL. Sean Payton last week came in with a couple bodyguards and the money.
Oh, yeah, $200,000 in cash and the ring and the whole 9 yards.
So he's been there. He's been to the Super Bowl. He wants it, but it's still something different about having one and not having one, in my opinion. So, honestly, I'm not thinking of Bountygate because you have to consider that too. I would take Sean McVay as well. I think that he's going to go get it, and he's going to be sitting up all night putting together the perfect scheme against this team.
Honestly, that 4th and goal for McVay was such a make or break move. It's one of those, you make it, you look like a genius, and if you miss it and you lose the game, everybody's gonna be like, "Why did you take the field goal? You stupid mother!" Blah blah blah
Or
blah 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 blah.
running the ball with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So I mean, it's hard to say, man, just because Sean Payton's the guy who's been there, done that in this league, and has really been one of the NFL's like signature, long tenured coaches of a winning franchise, and he's got the experience. He knows how to beat teams at home. And the Saints, we've said it before, they're going to live and die by their seeding, and so far that's held true. Once again, the Superdome has proven to be absolute hell for opposing teams, and I know that I feel like McVay is going to take the risks, but I'm confident that Sean Payton knows what he's doing. He's more collected. He's obviously the veteran mind compared to the young upstart young coach that's never had it before, so he's going to be more excitable. But I feel like Peyton's going to have that Belichick style poise there, and the right demeanor and the temperament to lead his team to a win.
So Saints or Rams?
Feeling the Saints in this one. I feel like there's a formula for the Rams. There is a narrative in which they make the things happen that they need to make happen to win this game. But at the end of the day, I just feel like the Saints are going to expose that secondary early on, and when they get that early lead, it's going to be tough sledding for the Rams coming from behind in a place that's going to be loud and rocking. And there's going to be a lot of points, and I just think the Saints they're really going to get rolling.
Chase?
The reason why I asked all these questions was because I wanted to see how the teams broke down against each other. So if we give the advantage to the Saints for rushing, and that's a very close advantage.
That's fair.
You give the Saints the advantage for quarterback play.
Okay.
I'll give the Rams defense because I think the Rams defense.
Oh wait,
and then
I don't mean to cut you off, Chase, but I don't think I got to chime in back there. I would give the advantage to the Rams running the ball at this point, not only with their momentum, with the production they've been getting as of late, but just due to the weakness of the Saints missing Rankins. In this game, I give the advantage to the Rams in that department.
I think that you make a good point. I just think that if we're talking purely talent-wise, and I mean, we haven't even seen Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram open up yet this playoffs.
True.
So I think that they get it done this week. So I'm going to take the Rams and the Rams coach for the Rams. So that's 2-2.
2-2.
And then we fall down onto kicking.
Greg the leg.
So that's Rams. And then we go to wide receivers. I'm going to take Michael Thomas. So that's 3-3. So that's right down the middle for me. So then I'll give the slight advantage to the Saints being at home. And
so 3.5 to 3.
Yeah, 3.5 to 3. What's the line?
3.5.
There you go.
There's the 3 points for me at home.
Yeah, so I am going to take the Saints. They were my Super Bowl pick. This game is by no means a lock. This game is an absolute toss-up. This game should probably be a half, in my opinion. It should be slightly in favor of the Saints. But yeah, this is going to be a great game, and we'll see how it plays out.
Listen, I can't break this game down any more than we already have. Everything that we've said about this game from both sides of the argument, offense, defense, coaching, kicking, the whole 9 yards, I still give this one to the Saints. And Chase, you're right, slightly. I think a little heavier towards the Saints than you do on the line and on the slightness, if you will. The Rams have been a little fluky. They've been a little up and down. I think their weaknesses are easier to expose than the Saints are, if you will. And I think that experience of Sean Payton will come into that play, and the experience of Drew Brees will come into that play also. I think Jared Goff can make more errors than Drew Brees can, and that'll probably be the biggest deciding factor in this game. So I'm giving it to the Saints. Chase is giving it to the Saints. Jared's giving it to the Saints.
Correct.
We're all giving it to the Saints. Do we want to flip a coin? Chase?
You know it's going to pick the Rams, so
All right,
why even bother?
Let's just see what happens. Come on. The house has picked not the wrong, but the opposite all year. So we're going heads Rams, tails Saints. And what do you know?
I told you.
You told me. All right. House says Rams. Screw the house. Burn it down.
Ooh!
Burn it down.
There's your
WWE reference number 2 of the week.
fair. The next question I have for the both of you, and Chase, I'll start with you. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid?
History tells me Bill Belichick and Tom Brady is always the right choice. However,
This game is not in Foxborough.
this game
Exactly.
is not in New England. So,
Thank God. What's the first time in, was it 12 years or something like that?
no.
Yeah,
When the Broncos won the Super Bowl, so that was.
Did they had the first seed?
Yeah, 2015.
Really?
Actually,
Yeah.
both times that the Broncos advanced to the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, they had the 1 seed. And
Yep.
both times they beat the Patriots.
Exactly. So, if history tells us anything, the way to beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady is at home in the AFC Championship. So that is why I, Chase Brinton, am taking the new blood, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, to take care of Tom Brady. But I will prefix this with
Suffix?
suffix, because I already said my part.
Exactly.
It's not going to be Mahomes that beats Brady. It's going to be that pass rush. It's going to be
Interesting.
Chris Jones, Justin Houston. These guys
D
coming in.
Ford!
D Ford,
D's
yes,
nuts!
sir.
D's nuts, D Ford.
We saw how much of a problem they actually were for Andrew Luck last week.
Correct.
And how do you beat Tom Brady?
You kill him.
You kill him. You get in his face. You knock him down. You don't even have to sack him. You just got to let him know that you're there.
Because then he starts crying like a bitch.
I mean,
Was that a
he hasn't cried in a
Godsmack
while,
reference?
but that's how you beat him. So you're telling me he's got to go to Arrowhead, where it is, Austin, how loud is it?
Real loud.
Real
It's damn real.
fucking loud.
Third WWE reference of the week.
Not only that, but I know this is not a huge deal for the Patriots because they're from New England, but they are saying this game is anticipated to be one of the coldest NFL games on record.
I don't think that matters, but thank you, Jared.
It was negative 17 when I was there, and they lost to the Titans on a last-second field goal.
Well, I
don't
mean,
think that.
the Pats are used to the cold, but in Kansas City in the Midwest, away from the coastline, it is a different type of cold.
Yeah, like frozen in goddamn ice kind of cold.
All right, but so back to my
like
point.
Elsa kind of frozen in
jeez.
ice.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this
Let it
podcast just went down.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Oh, God. These are the only words I know. So, pass rush, loud stadium, away from Foxborough. I'm sorry, but I'm going with the Chiefs, and it could be ugly. It could get ugly.
All right. -3 and real feel 22 degrees with 17-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Wait, right now or on Sunday?
On Saturday. I'm sorry, I looked Saturday.
Yeah.
My fault. Let me reconfirm. Doop. All right, I apologize. 7 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
7
and a
degrees?
A real feel of -3. Which is not -22, but it's still -3. It was -17 at kickoff
I will
when I was there.
slightly change what I said then, because if it's 7 degrees, They're not going to pass the ball.
You don't know that.
No.
What was the weather this past week? It was snowing and sleeting on the field, and Patrick Mahomes still threw the
I'm
ball.
talking about the Patriots.
Oh, that's fair.
I think that the Patriots will probably, with that type of temperature, they'll probably rely on Sony Michel on their run game. So even more, it's going to depend on that Kansas City front seven to stop that run game and force Tom Brady to throw the ball. Because we know how, vulnerable the Chiefs' run defense really is.
Yep.
So they need to make sure they stop that fast because that could be a problem. And that changes my outlook on this game a little bit. I'm still going to take the Chiefs, but that could be an issue.
Truth.
I'm not worried about the cold. I feel like that's the Chiefs, that's their bread and butter. That's their brand of football. And they faced those adverse conditions and used them to their advantage against Indy. I think they'll do the same thing against the Pats. Chase, you were saying this game could get out of hand. I could see this getting out of hand. I mean, these teams did combine for 83 points in their previous meeting in the regular season, but that was in Foxborough, and it was October, so, again, conditions more favorable. I just think the Chiefs have a lot of momentum on offense at this point, and the Pats have been such a bad road team this year. They went 3-5 on the road, and not only that, but they got blown out by 3 teams that didn't make the playoffs this year. Not competitive losses to 3 non-playoff teams. That says a lot about this team's character or lack thereof, their ability to win away from home. They're night and day at this point. And it's like they shouldn't have blown out the Chargers to the degree that they did, in all honesty. I don't think that's really indicative of who they are. I think that, it was a humongous win for them, but I don't think they're going to be able to come anywhere close to replicating that performance. And yeah, I think that their history shows, especially on their history of the playoffs on the road, they lose away from Foxborough. And what you saw the 2 times they played Denver in recent memory, I think it could be a combination of those 2 factors as far as 1 year with them getting blown out by superior offense, and then the second year with a more talented defense overwhelming them. I think that the Chiefs are going to be able to build off of what they did against Indy and bring it one more time.
I'm going to take the Chiefs, like I have pretty much all year on most of the games that we've talked about. 1, at a principle that I hate the Patriots. 2, at a principle that my wife's a Chiefs fan. 3, at a principle that I don't feel like sleeping on the couch again. But honestly, they're at home. The weather's on their side, in their favor. They're used to it, like Jared said. It is really shitty, don't get me wrong. The weather sucks for any human being to play in. However, when you play there more often, you're kind of used to it. They don't have to travel. They're at home, sleeping in their own beds with their wives, their girlfriends, their mistresses, their housemaids. I don't know. I think Mahomes is going to pull this one off. I think the young Chiefs team has a little more energy. I think they want it a little more. Tom Brady's been there forever. It's ho-hum for him. It's ho-hum for Belichick. It's just another playoff game for the Patriots.
I think I'm going to have to disagree with you on that point because I don't know why, but Tom Brady is still one of the most hungriest people I've seen. He always wants to win. Always.
He's a hungry, motivated, driven individual. I do think that it seems like he never gets sick of winning. So I would agree there. But I just think that this year especially, the talent just isn't there around him. That performance where they were firing on all cylinders against the Chargers, I don't think that there's enough talent to replicate that. That wasn't indicative of who they truly are, in my opinion, and especially on defense. We know that they don't have a pass rush. We know they don't have a secondary like that to shut down an offense like the Chiefs. And I even think last year they weren't so meant to be, and that's why they lost the Super Bowl. The only reason they got there is because they played the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles. So, yeah, of course they were going to find a way to squeeze that one out, and they came dangerously close to losing that one. And I think this year they're even less meant to be. What's the narrative if they get to another Super Bowl? We're the Patriots. We don't suck. But you look at all these other teams, and there's a real story. You can see why they were as successful as they were this year. I feel like with the Pats, it's just they're there because they're there.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but you also there is, we always say this, there is a narrative where the Patriots win and go on to the Super Bowl. That's just what happens. We all don't want it because we've seen it all the time, and people get sick of seeing the same shit all the time. It's nothing against the Patriots. Well, some of us, like Raiders fans, do have a problem with the Patriots, but most of us,
Raiders fans have a problem with everyone because they're pirates.
Yeah. Well, the problem is people want to see something different. It's nothing against the Patriots. We just want to see something different. And seeing Tom Brady with his repetitive excellence is boring to us as sports fans. We get sick of it. That being said, there is definitely a story where New England goes into Arrowhead and takes care of the Chiefs and puts together a game plan against Patrick Mahomes. They run the ball, keep him off the field. That definitely can happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But don't get us wrong. Just because we're all choosing the Chiefs doesn't mean that it's a lock. Same thing with the Rams and the Saints. We all chose the Saints. There is definitely a world where Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson run for 200 yards again and Jared Goff throws for 3 touchdowns. That can definitely happen. However, I think we all can agree that our Super Bowl matchup is going to be, our ideal Super Bowl matchup is going to be Chiefs-Saints.
It's looking that way.
Yeah.
The two home teams, they're favored for good reasons. To build off of that, yeah, the Pats, they beat the Chiefs already this year, so why can't they do it again, right? I just think that this team, their history, and especially their recent history with this year, just shows they are such a different team away from Foxborough. And you hate to go down the rabbit hole of the fishy stuff with the cheating and the videotaping, but it just seems like when they're at home, they seem to be one step ahead of their opponents every time. Like they know what's coming. And I don't know. It's hard to not get the vibe like that. There's still some degree of trickery going on in that stadium. And because it just doesn't
You know what's interesting before you
Go
continue
ahead.
there, just to touch base on what you said. One of the referees in this game also was a referee in the Deflategate game.
Oh, God, we're not starting a scandal now, are we?
I'm just saying. You're saying there's a little trickery, little fuckery, little menagerie going on. I'm just saying.
Don't the refs want the Pats to lose at this point, too?
I don't know, man.
I mean, let's not forget that these guys are literally just normal people that ref football on Sundays.
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He's in Deflategate.
I don't know. These Foxborough performances are just they're so puzzling to me that I can't help but raise these questions just because it just doesn't. This kind of voodoo spell that gets cast over these teams where they just suddenly are completely inept at everything when they go to Foxborough just continues to blow my mind. But nonetheless, the Patriots, even during Brady's better years, they just look different away from home. They just seem to fall behind early, can't get in sync in the same way, even in years where they've had more talented pieces on offense. And yeah, I mean, I just see this being another one of those games where the Chiefs are going to get out ahead in the first quarter, in the first half, carry that solid halftime lead. And yeah, I mean, they've got the playmakers to pressure Tom Brady. The Patriots don't have the playmakers to pressure Patrick Mahomes or stop the run. And they don't have the guys back there in the secondary to stop any of their receivers.
Yeah, that's true. If we're going to break down like we did the Rams and the Saints,
right,
I would take Tom Brady over Patrick Mahomes. I know Austin might feel differently about that, but I'm going to take the Hall of Famer over the new kid.
It's hard not to. I mean, I understand.
Always time to put a new kid into the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying.
I'll wait for him.
Tom Brady was the new kid once too.
He beat a Colts team. He hasn't shown it yet. Not
He
yet.
was one of the best on paper.
So was Alex
quarterbacks.
Smith on the Chiefs. Let's not forget that. He had the best QBR of the league last year. It's the Andy Reid system.
True.
So
Andy Reid
not saying
system.
that he's not great.
Fair. All right. So Tom Brady.
If we're going running game, probably that's a toss-up.
It's any given day, Sonny
Yeah.
Michel either sucks or he's the best running back in the league.
Yeah, I will take Sony Michel and James White over Damian Williams because James White can be a problem.
Well, White is more of a threat because of his, receiving capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
So
would,
then we
I
go
would
to
agree.
wide receivers. Yeah, then we go to wide receivers, and obviously we're going Chiefs with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Like,
So
I'll
all
take those
receivers,
guys
yeah.
over Edelman and Gronk. Yeah,
Yeah.
all day.
Sammy Watkins, Kelvin Benjamin.
Sammy Watkins.
Kelvin
Yeah,
Benjamin.
that's right. I forgot about. Oh my, Kelvin Benjamin's still on that team. I forgot about that too.
Just saying.
Yeah. Ugh. Gross.
Yeah, Watkins, in my opinion, is he's like what Traquan Smith is to the Saints, where he's there and I guess they could go to him potentially, but he just isn't a fixture because they're comfortable with their couple guys that are getting it done every week. So why
Watch him catch a touchdown now.
But leave
could.
him open.
Yeah, watch him catch a
Leave him
touchdown now.
open. Kelvin Benjamin had like a 40-yard reception last game.
That's hilarious.
Hey,
They
listen,
just left
man. I remember
him
when
wide open. It's Kelvin Benjamin. And Patrick Mahomes dropped it in his breadbasket.
That's funny.
I'll never forget the last time my New York Giants were in a conference championship game. Bear Pasco had a receiving touchdown, so anything's possible.
There you go.
Anybody
So,
remember him?
I will take. Yeah, not really, but I will take the Chiefs' defense over the Patriots' defense because of that pass rush and what we saw them do to the Colts, 2-2. So then we go to home field advantage, which we will give to the Chiefs.
Yep.
And then we get back down to the coach.
Kickers.
You want to do kickers first?
I'm pretty sure Buckner's been better
Butker
on
or
paper.
Gostowski?
Gostowski isn't the guy he used to be.
And Butker's young and at home and knows that field and has the crowd on his side.
Well, all right. I'll say Butker.
All right, 4-2.
And then I'm gonna take Bill Belichick over Andy Reid for obvious reasons. So that's 4-3.
I mean,
We're forgetting
can't-
on special
you
teams.
you can give Belichick the edge, but I mean, Andy, we've seen it before.
Jared, careful. Don't
Tread
say
lightly,
anything
young Padawan.
stupid right
Andy
now.
Reid
Like
is
Andy Reid is just as good.
Andy Reid is smart enough to figure out how to beat Bill Belichick. That doesn't
Andy
make him.
Reid also can't clock manage for his life. Let's not forget.
There are plenty of guys who, there's plenty of guys who aren't as good as Bill Belichick because Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches in NFL history. But there are teams that could just
The best coach.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give.
You have to. What else are you gonna compare?
Mike Ditka. Coach.
Disagree.
I mean,
That was more just for
I'll give you
relief.
that. He's got the greatest track record of success in the National Football League as a head coach. I'll give you that. But there are coaches with the capability to game plan against them. We've seen it before. Tom Coughlin knows how to do it. John Harbaugh knows how to do it. I think Andy Reid can be that guy.
Andy Reid has had his chances and never has. Not saying that things can't change. I mean, obviously we saw Doug Peterson win the Super Bowl last year, so obviously any day, any game, anything can happen.
This is the best offense that Andy Reid has ever coached.
Absolutely agree. But he did have a pretty good Eagles team that lost the championship against.
Yeah, that was also when Terrell
Tom
Owens
Brady and
had
the Patriots.
Terrell Owens was also completely fucked in that game. So if he was at 100%,
All right,
could have been a different story.
The Chiefs did beat the Patriots. So was it last year? I think it was last
They
year.
might have beat him last year in the regular season.
Yeah, just for flavor.
I think it was week 1 or something. Yeah.
Something.
Oh,
like
that was week 1. You're right, because
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt came onto and everybody's like, "Who is this guy?"
Oh yeah, when he fumbled his first rush, and they were like, "That's the first time he's ever fumbled a football in history." And then he ran for another 200 yards after that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a good game. Too bad he's a terrible person.
Yup.
But yeah, I'm going to take Bill Belichick, but that doesn't change anything. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this one. I said it could get out of hand. I kind of think it will stay a one-score game, but it's going to depend on the Chiefs' defensive line, really.
I think I could see the Chiefs pulling away late. I could see it being a one score most of the way through, and it could just be one of those where like they get ahead by 2, but then the Pats get their 1, and they kind of go back and forth in that regard. But the Patriots won't be able to get that drive to tie the game, leaving the door open for that, game-killing drive. You know what I'm talking about? Where Damian Williams is just gonna. Damian Williams will just slice and dice a battered and tired Patriots defense in the second half. In the fourth quarter, with about 7 minutes left, that's when the Chiefs are going to ice this game, I think.
All right. Since we all agree, what would be the worst outcome of these two games, in your opinion?
Patriots, Rams.
Jared?
I disagree. I actually think Patriots Saints is the worst outcome just because it's too old hat. It's two veteran quarterbacks that, like, we've seen this type of matchup a million times over the last few years. I feel like if the Pats are going to advance, the Rams are the fresher, more exciting, and dynamic team just because they're different. They are so much more, with C.J. Anderson in the mix, changing up the way their offense is run. If they're able to ride that to an upset over the Saints, that casts them in a different light, in my opinion, and makes them a more exciting Super Bowl opponent than...
So who do you think the Patriots have a better chance to beat?
That's what I was going to say.
The Rams or the Saints?
I think my worst would be Patriots-Rams because the Patriots would kill the Rams.
Absolutely. And then you have the Patriots as the Super Bowl champion. So why wouldn't you want the Saints to get in there when the Saints have a better chance to beat the Patriots?
In my opinion, the worst team out of these four teams
is the Patriots.
And
I think we're all in agreement.
But the next team is the Rams. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because if it is the Patriots, the Rams will lose.
Yeah, because Belichick
what's your thought on the Patriots-Rams outcome?
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
So my thoughts are this. My thoughts are that, yes, do I feel more confident that the Saints would beat the Patriots? Yeah, but I just think that because the Rams are more volatile, just due to the way their style of play has shifted, it could either go great or go poorly. But I think that adds another layer of excitement and unpredictability to the game. So as a fan, do I want to see the Patriots lose? Of course I want to see the Patriots lose. But I just think that they add a certain layer of excitement if they were to be able to beat the Saints, because it shows that, this wacky, unorthodox, run it down your throat deal can actually work. And with the Saints, I just feel like, we've seen Drew Brees win with, granted, I think that he's got a better team than he's ever had before, but it's still a similar formula because last time the Saints had Marcus Colston was their great receiver, and they had some other good guys behind him, and they had their running back tandem with Reggie Bush in there. So, I mean, we've seen the Saints win. We've seen the Saints win with a similar formula in the past, is what I'm saying. So, I think that especially if it was them against the Patriots, it would just feel like, oh, this is such like a stereotypical, NFL primetime game. But if it was
do you want the Patriots to win?
No, but I feel like the Rams could still beat them. It's just that there's more volatility to the matchup, which I'm okay with, because it could either go great or go bad.
No, I understand your point. Let's take a step back, though, and let's look at the coaches of these four remaining teams. Anybody see what we got here?
Old, 12 years old.
No. My point is they're all relative geniuses of their own craft. Sean McVay, genius, new and up-and-coming coach. Everybody thinks he's going to be the new hot shit in town, and he's clearly proven that he is. Bill Belichick, Hall of Famer, been doing it for years. Sean McVay,
You already
Hall
said
of
Sean
Fame.
McVay.
I'm sorry, Sean Payton.
Payton,
Sorry,
yes.
Hall of Famer, won a ring. Andy Reid has the most explosive offense in the league. Like, this is how Super Bowl teams are made. Through coaches, through quarterbacks. NFL, you got to make sure you get a Sean Payton, a Sean McVay. And I know it's not easy because everybody's trying. Like Cliff Kingsbury is, supposedly the next Sean McVay. So that'll be interesting to see. But at least the Cardinals are taking a chance with that guy. I hate rehirings of bad coaches. For example, the Jets. Adam Gase was not a good coach on the Dolphins, in my opinion.
No, he wasn't. He sucked.
He's also on crack.
Yeah. So why are you hiring him? So you can teach Sam Darnold? Oh, sure. Why not?
Do crack?
It's just stupid. It's stupid. Why not try out somebody new? I don't get the new hirings of coaches that get fired. I don't get that.
You lost your job. You must be a good candidate.
Right.
For
And
this
they do
one.
it so quickly and abruptly, too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, great, this guy got fired, so we can bring him in.
Holy crap, this guy sucked. Let's bring him in.
Can you imagine if that worked in the real world? Yo, yeah, I just got fired, so you guys should pick me up. Well, why'd you get fired? I sucked at my job.
Fantastic. Here's a raise.
Fantastic, you're hired.
To me, the shining example
joke.
of this was Hugh Jackson. This guy, he
God.
was the worst.
Hashtag fuck Hugh Jackson.
He was statistically the worst head coach in NFL history, and he gets another job not after the season, during the season.
Yeah, for the Bengals.
Like a week later.
Brutal.
It was awful, man. But no, you're absolutely right, because, I mean, the NFL is, we've seen teams try to add those missing pieces in free agency and sometimes trades in the past. But the NFL is the league, the sport in which playing fantasy matters the least, and it's proven to not be a winning formula. It's all about having the right system, the right coach that the players believe in and want to play for, because we see it time and time again. There's teams with talent that absolutely suck. There are teams that
suck.
There are teams that on paper look to be, bona fide Super Bowl contenders, putting up tons of points and, kicking everybody's ass, and they're not in sync with each other. Teams that sometimes it's a new group of players that's unfamiliar with one another, and the communication can be an issue, and players that have grown up together always develop the best chemistry. And I think it starts with the coaching staff. He's the guy leading the charge. He's the guy devising these game plans and bringing everybody together, getting everybody on the same page to buy in to his decisions, his philosophies, and those are the teams that win.
Well, that's about all I've got to say about these two matchups, other than I am excited for Sunday.
Absolutely. Sunday's going to be a lot of fun. And two of these four teams are going to the Super Bowl.
I'm excited too. I just have to say that I think that even though I'm picking the Chiefs and the Saints, I kind of am secretly rooting for the Rams here, because I really want to see, I think Chiefs versus Rams would be an awesome Super Bowl between two really young, new, fresh, exciting teams, and it's a rematch of the best NFL regular season game in recent memory, in all honesty. That Monday night game with both teams combining for over 100 points, and just the fact that it guarantees a new, fresh face winning it all, I think would be such a cool, unique moment. Although I would be happy for Drew Brees if he gets a second ring, because he deserves it. But either way, as long as the Pats are out, I'm good.
All right. Who are we?
Well, first off,
Oh, my God. What?
as always, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're listening. We are also available on top of where you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn. I almost said Libser. Libsyn. Yeah, Libser. Stitcher and YouTube. Subscribe, follow, whatever the other options that you have are. Review. I don't even know anymore. There's
Ring
so
the
many
bell.
goddamn places. On top of that,
And on top of that, when you follow us on Instagram, please do not slide into our DMs and invite us to check out your catalog of dirty pictures because we don't want to see any of it.
Well, speak for yourself, gentlemen.
Speak for yourself.
No, but what we should say is our jersey giveaway is still going until the Super
which
Bowl
we didn't hear
matchup.
from a single one of you from the last episode. That
Jersey.
we mentioned
Of your choice, any sport. Well, not baseball, football.
It's any sport. I don't
Any
care.
sport.
At this point. I don't,
Any
it's
sport.
Whatever you want.
Any player. Your jersey free. I mean, like what?
Yeah, do
what
we
more
have to say
can you
anything
ask
else?
for? Yeah.
Tell your friends. Hey, go listen to this. All you got to do is follow us and like us, and then just tell us that you did that
For a free jersey.
For a free jersey.
That's it.
You realize that's 3 clicks in like, hey, assholes, I followed you.
Yeah.
Give me my shit.
Give me my $100 jersey of my favorite player. Simple. Simple, people.
Goddamn simple. Tell your friends. Listen to the podcast. Tell us what we're doing right and wrong.
No,
We love you.
we're not doing anything wrong. We're doing everything right.
Yeah, we are.
Goddamn right. Righteous. I'm feeling righteous right now. That's not even what that word means, but that's how I'm feeling.
We are
I'm
feeling righteous.
a feeling.
Oh, my brother.
I'm feeling
Testify.
like I'm ready to hang up. Jared.
Who are we?
Well, folks, we are Call to the Bullpen, not the sports podcast you'd want, but the sports podcast you deserve.
#1 sportcast on Mars and possibly Venus. Working on Venus.
100% Uranus.
That's it. Boom.
Oh!
Hang it up.